Back in Rome in the 1st and 2nd centuries CE, the city was given a makeover, befitting Rome's position as mistress of the Mediterranean.
At that point, of course, we would see dazzling white scenario, of course, with a lot of color painted on the sculpture. We would see these massive temples surrounding the forum. We would see, of course, massive basilicae along the long sides and, bustle of people going in and out and trials and money changers and all sorts of hawkers of any kind.
Well, we've been talking about the Julio-Claudians, we've been talking about the Flavians, and Lana, today, we're going to talk about Trajan and Hadrian. You want to talk about them for a while? You like them? She likes Hadrian. Okay, Lana, well, you go down and go listen, and we'll talk for a little bit. As we said last time, Domitian was murdered. And once again, the question arose, as you might imagine, as to who might become emperor. Well, the answer came from the Senate, when a distinguished Umbrian became entrusted with the future of Rome. And his name was Marcus Cocius Nerva. But he was already well up into his 70s. It's the year now 96, and Nerva had to move quickly to stabilize the empire. He did a pretty good job, though. The heir apparent was a popular troop commander in Upper Germany, a man who had grown up in Italica, near modern Sevilla, in Spain, and whose family, however, was Italian. His name was Marcus Ulpius Traianus, from the Ulpi gens, but we know him today as Trajan. Trajan proved to be an effective administrator, and his campaigns sought to bring in natural resources for Rome and to spread Romanization from Parthia in the east up into the Balkans. He even created a new province, Dacia, which would remain within the Roman Empire for 150 years and be seen by the modern Romanian people as the ancestor of their current country. He restored order and discipline to the army, and he set out to transform Rome with an amazing forum complex designed to outdo anything that had ever been done before, and it did. Like Augustus, Trajan was a master at propaganda and self-glorification. And his forum complex was one of the greatest wonders of ancient Rome that people would go specifically to visit. Portions of it which survive are still amazingly impressive. By Trajan's time, what we call the High Empire, the old Roman Forum was a bustling place. The old temples had been upgraded and restored. The traditional buildings were all still in their original places, but had been for the most part improved to a state more worthy of Rome's position. With the addition of the government center established with the Forum of Julius Caesar to the northwest of the Curia, and the Forum of Augustus beyond that, taking on many trials and ceremonies, the population of Rome was able to be accommodated with a massive civic center. Domitian had attempted to add to that, but his memory was condemned, so that his little forum was finished up by Nerva, and it was nothing more than a monumentalized passageway from the Subura district to the northeast, leading to the original forum. Finally, Vespasian built a beautiful park and a museum and a library complex to the east of the Forum of Augustus, which proved very popular. There seemed nowhere else to build in downtown Rome without encroaching on steep hills, but Trajan would take care of that problem. But before we investigate what Trajan did and how he did it, let's take a brief look at the Roman Forum in the imperial period. Back in Rome in the 1st and 2nd centuries CE, the city was given a makeover, befitting Rome's position as mistress of the Mediterranean.
We know that in the late Republic, they had to clean up the Forum from all this, small stuff. Architectural small fry that would accumulate very quickly because everybody and their dog wanted to have a little dedication, a little something in the Forum that would remind people of their munificence. So the Imperial Forum, of course, we know much better than the Republican Forum. At that point, of course, we would see dazzling white scenario, of course, with a lot of color painted on the sculpture. We would see these massive temples surrounding the Forum. We would see, of course, massive basilicae along the long sides and, bustle of people going in and out and trials and money changers and all sorts of hawkers of any kind. We would see smaller temples like the Temple of Vesta, sort of elegant structures. We would see some triumphal arches with inscriptions, with carvings commemorating the great victories and the great triumphs of the emperors. At that point, the Forum would be one of the marvels of the world, and it would stay that way for centuries. That people will travel even after Rome has lost the status as imperial capital. People will still travel to see the Roman Forum and Imperial Fora as sort of wonders of the world.
Trajan sought to expand the frontiers of Rome and reduce the potential threats from northern tribes, and so he pressed forward to the Danube River areas and beyond into the realm of Dacia, which was then under the command of a brave warrior named Decebalus, Decebalus. These wars between 101 and 102 CE and 106 and 107, following a brief truce, led to the destruction of the Dacian homeland and eventually to the suicide of their king. Despite the fact that the Dacians were merely trying to preserve their homeland, Trajan celebrated a magnificent triumph and had his architect-engineer Apollodorus of Damascus build his forum, Trajan's Forum, which was dedicated in 112 CE. To make his forum, Trajan had to cut away a significant portion of the Quirinal Hill to flatten out the land. The exact arrangement of the forum is still contested today, but it had a vast porticoed entry space modeled after the Forum of Augustus, but with Dacian captives in the attic spaces of the portico. There was a massive basilica, or covered hall, known as the Basilica Olbia, after Trajan's family name. Beyond it were two smaller buildings, possibly libraries, in between which was an enormous column, dedicated in 113, which had figural reliefs winding around it and telling the story of the two major Dacian campaigns. The base contained a dedication which commemorated the great amount of hillside that had to be removed to make this monument. The carving on the columns owes more to local popular art than it does to the classical tradition. The figures seem ill-proportioned and even stumpy. There are combinations of nearly overhead and side views within the same single image. And there are figures which are too large for their backgrounds. Perhaps it was done in the style of contemporary military triumphal paintings, intended to show quickly a particular scene without worrying about how classical the images were, and instead emphasizing specific actions and gestures. Major figures are larger than subsidiary figures. Crowds are shown as small clusters of people. True perspective is disregarded in favor of giving each scene its own best viewpoint, or multiple viewpoints. The theme of the column seems to be Gloria Exercitus, the industry and discipline and glory of the Roman troops in tracking down and eliminating a dangerous foe. The images of barbarian heads being shown to the emperor tend to stay in the mind to show the barbarity of war, but the almost matter-of-factness of the Roman army in pursuing it. Beyond this all, there may have been a temple dedicated to the divine Trajan that was put up sometime after his death, but this is hotly contested, and it's difficult to verify due to later churches having been erected right over the alleged temple site. The column of Trajan was to have contained the ashes of Trajan himself, whose statue graced the top of it. There was a stairwell inside of it which allowed access to a glorious view from the very top. The column, carved like a colossal book scroll or rotulus, was actually made up of 18 blocks of Carrara marble from northern Italy. The 625 feet of sculpted reliefs are among the largest amount of such sculpture that survives for us on any single monument anywhere. Trajan's military engineer, the architect Apollodorus of Damascus, further outdid himself with another amazing complex, built just to the north of the Forum of Trajan. Trajan's markets took advantage of the hillside to rise 5 stories up, and it contained a variety of shops and administrative offices, but the most extraordinary part of it was a huge aula, or hall, which had shops on 2 sides at upper and lower levels. The central space, which must have been filled with people, was groin vaulted at the top, that is, made up of a series of intersecting barrel vaults that sprung from enormous corbels on the side of the hall. The upper row of shops was separated from the aula by a series of flying buttresses, more elaborate than those used in the Golden House of Nero, and looking very much like the sort employed to bolster Gothic cathedrals in the Middle Ages.